All right, good morning, everyone. I'm going to call to order the Town of Ocean Ridge Special Magistrate hearing. It's December 2nd already. Verizon says it's 10 o'clock, so we can get started. My name is Amity Barnard. I'm the Special Magistrate for today's hearing. The first thing I'm going to do is, if you're here for a code enforcement matter, including any town staff, I'm going to swear everybody in who's here for a code enforcement hearing. So if you're here for an item that's on today's agenda, if you could stand if you're able and raise your right hands for me. And you, sir, you just watching or you're here for a case? Okay, yep, raise your right hand for me. Do you swear, all swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. You may be seated. So a little bit about process. I think all these cases today are violation hearings. So when you hear your case called, you're going to come to the podium here right in front of me. Town staff will be, I think, on either side of me here, minus the bear over there. They'll present their case first. They'll show me the documents, the case file that they want to enter into the record, call any witnesses that they want to call. Once they're finished with their presentation, it will be your turn to present any evidence that you have to me. You can cross-examine any witnesses that the town has called. Show me any documents that you brought with you today. Obviously, give me any verbal testimony that you'd like me to consider. Once I've heard both sides, I'll make a final ruling and you'll get an order that reflects that ruling in the mail. So with that, keep in mind that all of your testimony is given under oath, and I'll turn it to the town to call its first case.
Thank you, Your Honor. Christy Guide on behalf of the town of Ocean Ridge. Do we have the minutes
I
first?
skipped over those pesky minutes every time I do that. I'm sorry about that. I did review the October 7 minutes, so those are approved as drafted. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Attorney.
You're welcome. So the first case for today is actually a stipulated agreement for an extension of time. It's case 2024-010. This is for the Ocean Ridge Yacht Club. If you may recall, this is a case where they had some docks in disrepair. They're in the process of repairing their entire dock area. So it's taken them a little bit more time as the HOA is working on it. So we've stipulated to another extension of time to give them another 6 months to come into compliance. And as long as they're showing good faith efforts to continue to do so, we don't have another problem with a further extension because it is quite an endeavor. So we've presented the proposed order in the record for your consideration. It is for another 6 months and both parties has signed off. The HOA signature is for the dock master, who we are assured is also a board member.
And is anybody present for that case? Nobody's here for that one?
Nobody's here.
Okay. So just a correction, I can't see page 12, but on page 13, I think that you mean on number 5. I think you mean June 1st up a little bit.
Yes.
2026.
We'll make that correction. And
yeah,
we'll
make that correction.
Yep.
And then can you scroll up for page 12 to me, please? Oh, you got the same.
We can provide the.
Yeah, that's fine. As long as the parties are in agreement, I'm fine. If you will just give me a copy of that before I leave, so that I can, do you need me to sign that even? Yeah, I guess you do. Yeah, just give me a copy before I leave so I can sign that and give it back to you. But that's fine. And then did the parties stipulate in here to service for today's hearing? Is there anything about service?
They made the request for this extension, and actually they made the request before the last hearing, but that would have been the only thing on the agenda. So we just went ahead and moved it forward to this hearing.
And they signed it. Can you scroll up, Madam Clerk? My tab there. They've already signed it.
Yes.
All right, very good. So anything further on that one?
No, Your Honor.
All right, in case 2024-010, I've reviewed the stipulated order. And given that the respondent requested today's hearing and given that they've signed the proposed order subject to the revision to correct the scrivener's error on the date, I will sign a copy of an order that grants a continuance to extend the timeframes for compliance rather. And the formal order title will be a stipulation for extension of time and agreed order. So I will grant the mutually agreed request for continuance, and I'll sign that order before I leave town hall today.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right, next one.
The next case on today's agenda is item number 3. It's case 2025-058. The respondents are Patricia Scanlon and Patrick Scanlon of the Residuary Trust. The property address is 11 Coconut Lane. We have both our zoning official, Manny Palacios, and the town clerk available to testify regarding this property. Perhaps we can start with the clerk with notice.
So we had received several complaints on this. We had a previous code enforcement officer go out and look at it. He contacted them and things started moving, like he was getting the lawn mowed and stuff like that. So we thought he was working on it, so we didn't issue an actual notice. Our code enforcement officer left us and kind of got dropped, so the neighbors have complained about it. So we went back out and I had my new code enforcement officer go out and take new pictures and everything. We did issue a notice of violation because the means of contact that I had were not good anymore. So we sent them a notice of violation, as well as I tried calling, but the number I had was disconnected. It was delivered on October 27th
By posting.
by posting.
Okay.
The mail did come back. I do have several pictures here of everything. Just show you that it did come back.
Okay, you got it.
So,
Returned but unsigned.
right. And that's where we're at now. Nothing has been done. I can go through the pictures.
And is the house vacant?
I believe so. There's a gate in the back that, unless you're in neighbors or in the alleyway, you cannot see, but that is down. And that's part of the notice because it's a safety issue.
For the pool?
Correct. So I do have the fence broken back.
Yeah, so your green card came back it came back returned.
Correct.
Manny Palacios, zoning officer and code enforcement officer for the town of Ocean Ridge. Your Honor, on my 2 occasions to inspect the property, I did find it in disrepair. The entrance to that door, to the house, the door as the photographs depicted, it's in terrible condition. You've got the ceiling there into the entryway that's completely rotted and water damaged to an extent, as you can see right there. It looked like on my second inspection, they looked like they made an attempt to cut the overgrowth in the front, but nonetheless, the existing violations to the structure still exist. Several cracks, which I think may even compromise the structural ability of the house. So
Okay. Any correspondence from the respondent or anybody?
I haven't heard from anyone.
Is anybody present for this case? All right, for the record, in case 2025-058, the respondent is not present. What is the town seeking in terms of remedy today?
Your Honor, we would, given the extent of the damage and the concern about the pool, we would ask for, 30 days to come into compliance, failing which a fine of $250 per day. And the town's costs are $174.73.
And no abatement this go around. Bring it back if you need to abate anything.
Correct.
All right, anything further?
No, Your Honor.
All right, in case 2025-058, I'll enter the town's evidentiary case files composite exhibit 1 without objection. I'll find based on the notice documents contained in the evidentiary case file, which include an affidavit of posting that the town had good service for this morning's hearing. I'll find based on the photographs in the case file as well as the testimony of the code enforcement officer that the respondent's in violation of section 67-174 and Florida Building Code section R 4501.17. And I'll require a respondent to comply with those code sections within 30 days, or a $250 a day fine will be assessed for each day that the violations continue thereafter. Because I found the respondent in violation of those sections, I'll assess the town's administrative costs in the amount of $174.73 payable within 30 days.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, next case.
Yes, Your Honor. Next case number 4 on today's agenda, case 2025-065. The property address at issue is 118 Marlin Drive. Property owners are Ara and Mari Garabani, as trustees of the 118 Marlin Drive Trust. We have, our town clerk here to testify on notice. And I believe also with the, town's zoning official, code enforcement officer, was involved with service as well.
And let me have the town, if you guys can keep standing there, Mr. Palacios, can I have you switch seats with the bear over here? Are you gonna testify in this one?
Yes.
And Madam Clerk, if you want to go with
Okay.
service, we'll hear from the town first and then I'll call on you guys.
Okay, so we had received comments, complaints about the length of the time that this project has been going on from the neighbors. We looked into it and we realized that, yes, they had indeed exceeded, was not caught. They exceeded the construction duration that's allotted by the town.
Okay,
So we did send out notice. I had it posted at the site. Mr. Manny Pelosius delivered that on November 13th. I believe we also sent it certified. Yes. Did get the card back on that.
We did receive it.
all right, is that all from you, Miss Avery?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Palacios, do you have any additional testimony?
You got to turn the button. There you go.
Sorry.
Yes, I did go out, did an inspection, and then on this set date, I did go out and post it and took photographs of the posting.
And maybe the town clerk can fill you in on the background on the permit and the dates.
Okay, thank you.
So I had also emailed them before the notice, a few days before the notice went out, just to let them know that they had exceeded it and gave them till the end of the month to November to handle that. So for the first permit, 23506, it was issued August 16th of 23. They did finally finalize that one on November 17th, 2025. 23792, it was issued February 23rd of 24. Still has not been finalized. 24243 was issued July 11th, 24, and renewed on 11/13/2025. 25219 was issued, it was not exceeding the time frame, but it was for a temporary fence, and I did notify them that it had expired and that it needed to be renewed in order to final it out, because it was gonna have to be removed when the other ones were finalized out. That one was issued 5/9/25. They had one inspection, the initial inspection, it still needs a final inspection, then it expired. They have renewed it on November 14th, 25.
What does the town code say?
Sorry, it's 1 year duration of, construction unless it's a single family home. And I've got that actually right.
It's a
Here.
2-year,
2 year for single family,
right?
right, but for 1 year for everything else.
And what is this property?
This was a roofing project.
Is it a
which was
single family home though, or
single
no?
family home, yes.
When did they begin construction on these permits?
When it was actually started, it was issued August 16th of 23 for the first one.
That's been closed out.
That has been closed out, yes.
The second one,
Second one was issued February 23rd of 24.
so they have until February of 2026.
Not for anything but construction of a new single family home. So everything else is 1 year.
And there's a new ordinance. Was there a change to the ordinance? Is that why there's a?
There was a change that we did back in, I think, 22. Where it set it for 2 years for a new single family home. And that expires December 31st of this year. And then it goes back to 18 months. But that's the only thing that changed.
All right, so can you rattle off those dates again? So your notice of violation, excuse me, is permit 23506.
And that one is final, yes.
When was it? So is that not part of this? That's been closed out and that's
It
done?
is, but it got closed during the time frame that we gave them the notice.
All right, so when was that issued?
That was issued August 16th of 23,
And it was final,
11/17 of 25.
all right, 23/7/92.
That one was issued February 23rd of 24.
And that's still open?
Mhm.
24243.
That one was issued 7/11 of 24. And then they renewed it on 11/13 of 25. And that's still open.
And then 25219.
Issued 5/19/25. Like I said, that one's not over, but it was expired at the time when I spoke to them. But that's for a temp fence that would have to be down when they finish the other construction.
Let me just- I'm not seeing in the code the distinction between upon repeal. So are you saying that the single family is not a 2-year duration?
New single family home is a 2 year duration, but he was
Okay.
doing a roof.
But that's what I'm confused about. So a roof on a single family home is the same thing as construction on a single family home under the town code?
That's not what we considered it when I spoke to the building official. He said it's not the construction of a new single family home.
Yeah, I think where the disconnect is when we changed the ordinance back in 2023. We made all construction 2 years. And we didn't distinguish between single-family home or just a permit to redo a roof or something like that. So if construction commenced like on permit 23972 on February 23rd, 24, then they would have until February 23 of 26
To complete the work.
to complete the work.
That's how I'm reading too.
I don't know the other two, what their timeframes are. I know they have reissued permits, but that's a different process. When did they commence construction for the other two permits?
The 24243 is July 11th, 2024. And 25219 is 5/9/25.
Okay. So it looks like they came into compliance with the first one,
Correct.
because that was the one that was, past the 2-year mark.
And the work is done for the permit to have been finalized out, correct? I presume it would have to be.
Yes.
Yes.
So the remaining ones, they have a deadline coming up in, February 23 of 2026 for, that looks like the most recent one. Most recent deadline coming up. So I think, Your Honor, what we would like to do in this case is have a finding of violation for permit 23506, because now it is in compliance, but it technically was outside the 2-year time frame. And then we'll just have to wait and hope that they come into compliance for the other permits.
All right. So let's get to you folks. Your names for the record?
Thank you. Ara and Nora Garibian.
Okay, thank you. So go ahead.
Thank you. We were unaware of the 1 year, but that's not our problem. So, we purchased the home in July of 23.
Mhm.
And then, we immediately got a roofing permit. And then, during the roof removal, we found that the house was severely water damaged that we didn't know and we didn't uncover during inspection period. So, kind of like the movie The Money Pit, what happened was, we took the roof off, we uncovered major issues, and then this is in September of 23, and then we hired an architect and an engineer to help us with the structural issues that we had. And then slowly the snowball sped up. And then, so I think that was our biggest issue. And we feel really bad to be here and take up anybody's time today. And we feel really bad for our neighbors, and we don't know them yet because we haven't really slept there yet, but we care for them. You know, we understand, you know, that they fix their house and they're in their house, and we don't want to disrupt anybody. That's not the kind of people we are. So it just, you know, we had the roof off while we were, you know, working with engineers to fix that issue, and then we got into 2024, early part of 2024, and the special house for us, it just snowballed into, you know, more time. From an engineer, it went to an architect, and it just took some time. So it looked like the house was being worked on, but it was really in this temporary thing. Now, in hindsight, I could have went back and closed a permit and reopened a permit to when we actually started working. But we are moving forward. We got the roofing permit that we spoke about. 2-3 of 506 is closed. 24243 is a seawall, and the seawall contractor has one small administrative item to comply with, and then he can close out his permit very soon, if not the end of the year. It's going to be January. He said that today. The construction fence 25219 is a small permit that was needed for the construction. But the real issue we have is 23792. And even though it has a 23 in front of it and it looks like an old permit, that was, we had to revise that with engineers and architects to get that where it needed to go. And then the house went through a delay. There was a huge delay, and you can tell by inspection history. So we are doing everything we can to close that up because we really want to get in there. We really want to bring the moving truck. So we're scheduled to be totally transparent. Our construction schedule says that we'll be done June of this year, of this coming year. We're obviously going to try to trim that up. We have an absolute date of, this summer when the kids are transitioning from school years. So we are really working hard to close it up, to be considerate to our neighbors. We've done, we completely shut the job down for the week of Thanksgiving. We've been being very active about keeping as clean as possible of a job site, and we're constantly improving on that. We're going to tone it back, even though we need to finish. We're going to tone it back for the holidays, definitely near the last 2 weeks of the year, to just try to give everybody, nobody needs to hear a hammer, a nail, a compressor. We're very cautious about that, and just to try to, not overstep our job site. So yeah, we're gonna really push really hard first quarter of next year to close all of our items and then wrap the project up. That's pretty much where we're at with the project.
So I guess just a question, on the one that you have open, so I guess hearing that you're contemplating June, I would be sensitive to the fact that permit 23792 technically expires 2/23/26. So you need to communicate with somebody in town hall. That's not an issue today because you're not technically expired yet. But I would get with somebody at town hall and either get the work done by then or request whatever extensions you're allowed by code, if in fact you are allowed any extensions. But I'm glad to hear you're getting closer. I guess the question I have is a technical one for the town attorney. The notice of violation was from 11/13 and it gave the respondents 18 calendar days to comply. So
Oh, so they came into compliance within the time
before,
frame. Yeah,
so I don't think legally I
We
can
can-
issue a finding of fact.
you're right.
in That,
Yep.
so.
So what I think we'll have to do in this case is dismiss it for now, but we'll have potential case open if we reach the February 23rd, 2026 date and it's not closed, or you can request an extension, which is allowed under the code, but you got to get that in before you come up to that date.
Understood.
And so you're, it's a bit of a technicality. Unfortunately, there's a technical issue with the way that they cited you. I think technically they could have gotten me to find you in violation, given the time that elapsed between your pulling the permit and the construction starting on the first permit, on the roof permit. But because of how they cited you, I'm not going to find you in violation. So I'm ultimately going to dismiss the case, but what I've heard you say is that you're making a good faith effort to get done. But what I'm also hearing the town say is that somebody is complaining. I don't know if it's your next door neighbor that you referenced, but somebody is unhappy with how long this is taking. So do all that you can to get done by the February 26th deadline or get an extension so that you're not back before me, because I will be inclined, if the facts are sufficient to find you in violation, I don't have any choice.
Understood.
So I'm hearing them tell you that, so you're on notice of that now. But for the purposes of today's hearing, because of the timelines and the change to the code, I'm not gonna find you in violation. I'm gonna dismiss the matter. But I would encourage you to get with town hall request extension if you need past the February date so that you can get that process timely
Understood.
and you're not in violation and back
Thank you.
before me later.
Thank you.
All right, anything
Okay.
further on that one?
No, Your Honor.
All right, so
Thank you.
2025-065, do you want an order of dismissal?
Yes, that would be great.
All right, so I'll make a finding of service based on the affidavit of posting. And I'll enter an order that just dismisses the case.
Thank you.
Okay? Best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next is,
Yes, Your Honor, it's number 5 on today's agenda. It's case number 2025-066. The property address is 25 Sable Island. The owner of record is the Stommel Family Trust. And we have, I believe, zoning official, code enforcement officer, and town clerk here to testify as to this case as well.
Okay, we have had conversations of the floating docks, which is what we're mainly here for today. Floating docks were in the water. We told him he had to get those removed because per town code, they could not be on the property without having a single family residence there. They were moved to the actual lot itself. And we notified them that they had to remove them. And after so many conversations, we finally did the notice of violation, which went out on November 14th. And that was received as well. The emails. I guess I did not. That's how it was received with a green card. I did not get the green card back, but it was received. as
you have,
did
you have
communicate with
delivery
me.
confirmation?
I got it on my desk. I didn't stick it in here. I scanned it too late. Like I missed it. I know he received it by hand as well, because I did receive an email from him questioning me about it. And those are the floating
Is-
ducks. I can go get that information.
Yeah, if you could, I don't see a posting
Yeah,
affidavit, so,
Give me just a second.
oh, maybe that is, hold on.
That's-
But if you have the USPS,
Yes.
that would. All right, Mr. Palacios, do you have testimony as well?
Yes, I've been out to the property a few times initially uh, for the dock, floating docks that were in the water. And the fencing and screening were in somewhat disrepair. Apparently, they were notified and the docks were removed. They were placed on the property. But from what I was looking at, it looked to me like it was construction material. Our public works director said that he got a better look at them and that was the floating docks. Subsequently, I went out and posted them on set dates and took photographs of the posting.
All right, is anybody here for this case? Perfect. Can you come to the podium for me, sir? What's your name?
Josh Stomel.
And your trustee, or what's your relation to the trust?
Just my wife and I are on the trust.
very good.
Trust, yeah.
All right, so you've heard what the town is saying.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Josh. Nice to meet you all. So we own 3 properties in Ocean Ridge, and we have spent a lot of time investing in making properties better in this city. We spend a lot of money on taxpayer dollars for this city. There's a little history before this. where apparently I was not aware, we hired a professional company to build. There's actually a brand new seawall and dock on this piece of property. I don't
Okay.
know if you have pictures, Kelly. But we hired a professional company who got permits and got approved permits to build. We are in forward motion building a house. There's a meeting in a week and a half from today with Stoff, the architect, to continue forward motion. It's been about an 18-month process dealing with the city and the architects. And then we got a notice from, I believe, the town attorney that there was an error from the city of Ocean Ridge that a dock and seawall was not supposed to be built there. And that was really confusing. I came in disarray of why did you guys tell me that we had an approved permit to build a dock and seawall, and then why are you sending me a notice and I need to tear it down after spending $300,000? So that's issue number, is something that I'm just confused about still today, when the city is very aware that we're looking to build a property on this and we're making every good faith to get that done. So moving forward, the property is mowed. We have a professional fence from a company and it's maintained. You're welcome to drive by and there's a beautiful blue screen around it. And the
Like,
grass is
are you talking about a construction fence?
correct.
Okay.
Yeah, still on, they require that. So I don't know why they're saying the fence is in disarray when it's a professional fencing company that maintains it and mows the lawn. Now, the docks were in the water, that's correct. They were an asset that I owned when I had a boat and jet skis. And then the city said, I can't have anything there until we have an approved permit on the house, even though we're doing everything that we could to get this done and approved. So the boat is gone, the jet skis are gone. And then they said, you need to get these things out of the water. And I said, okay, as you're aware, we're doing everything we can to get the permit approved to build a house. So then apparently once the permit's approved, I'm allowed to put a boat back and my jet skis back. So I got this notice of violation to remove the docks. I personally spent a lot of money in taxpayer dollars into the city. I would like to leave them on the land that I own since we're very close, I believe, or I hope, of getting the house permit approved. And once they're approved, I believe legally I could put them back in the water. And that's why I'm here to rebuttal the violation that is continuing. And I still don't know how to handle the violation about there's a dock built that the city approved, and then they said now they want me to remove it.
Okay. So let me ask the town attorney for an explanation on the code.
Yeah, so a little background. The code section that's cited is 6477. And it's provided in the background, the backup for this case. So, under the town's code for a regular dock, a dock is an accessory use. So if you look at subsection A of what's on the screen, a dock is an accessory use. Can't have a dock, and a dock should not have been permitted by the town until they have a single family primary residence on the property. So when we found out that there was both the dock and floating dock at this property without the single family home, the initial letter that I wrote out was that, yes, the town had made a mistake in permitting this. The seawall is allowed because there was an existing seawall, and you can repair an existing seawall without an accessory structure or without a primary structure. So I sent out a letter to tell them the permit was issued in error. We will work with you so that we can work through the process, but you have to continue through the process of development. And I actually had a conversation with the architect who was here on another case, spoke with the architect, and the architect said, yes, we are going to shortly submit for planning and zoning review.
And how long, what time frame was that? Is that recent or is that a long time ago?
It was, well, the problem was it was several months ago and then nothing was happening, nothing was submitted. So that was kind of moved this up. Plus, in addition, the floating docks were still there. And then they were subsequently moved onto the property itself. In subsection E of the section 6477 of the town code does not allow for floating docks to be at the property as an accessory use, again, without a primary structure. So the notice of violation that was issued addresses both the regular dock and the floating dock. We're here today on the floating dock because the town, of course, is still willing to work with the property owner on the dock that received proper permits, to give them a time frame to get the permits for actually constructing the single family home for that dock, so they don't have to remove that dock. But the floating docks need to be removed off the property until they get their building permits. And right now, they are slated for planning and zoning review at the December meeting, which is in a couple weeks, like Mr. Stommel said. But then they'll have to go through the process, assuming they get approved at planning and zoning, then they will have to go through the building permit process, which could take several weeks, depending on how many comments and back and forth, that goes on. But once they get the building permits, then the town is okay with them to have the floating docks there and obviously be able to keep the permanent dock that was installed.
Wait, and when you say that they're allowed to keep them, are they allowed to keep them laying in the grass or do they have to be put back into the water?
Ideally, they're back in the water because I don't know that they're going to have them on their property while they're constructing, but quite frankly, it doesn't matter to us. If they want to keep them on the property or put them back in the water, that's their decision, but the town is okay once they're moving forward. Now, obviously, if their building permits expire, we're going to be back here again on the same type of violation because we still always have to see a good faith effort of moving forward to have the actual primary structure constructed.
Okay. So it's just one public hearing at P and Z and then it goes to building permit. assuming
As long
that
as there's no issues at P and Z.
Right, assuming
They,
there's-
they're the town sort of architectural review board, so sometimes they have comments and they want to see things revised, but the architect they're utilizing has been before the town before, so ideally it gets passed in December and they can move forward to permits and early next year have the permits.
So P and Z is technically approving the location of the floating docks then. They're put on a plan.
Not necessarily, it depends, it's really that's a building permit issue.
Okay.
P and Z doesn't really look at the floating docks.
So what is the town asking for in terms of remedy today?
Your Honor, I believe for the floating docks, we would be willing to give them time for them to get their permits, but without knowing what that time frame is, we would like to see the floating docks removed within 30 days. And that's the only issue for today. The other permanently installed dock, we're not addressing today, but we'd like to see the floating docks removed within 30 days. Or a fine of $100 a day in the town's costs, which are $174.44.
Do you have someplace, sir, that you can put those floating docks?
Not unless they want them on a driveway. My other house is in Ocean Ridge. I do not have anywhere else to put them.
Well, you're gonna have to find someplace. I don't at these hearings prescribe the method by which you comply. I just set a time frame, a reasonable time frame for you to comply.
I mean, what about also like you mentioned over the next 30 days, but we're also going into the holidays. So, I mean, there should be like a grace period during the holiday time, and just like the city there's a delay of getting back and responses. So I think that should be taken into consideration as well.
How much time would you need?
I don't know. I don't know how long. I think there's like 2 weeks where it's crazy holiday between Hanukkah and Christmas. So, and we're not even going to be in town.
Your Honor, I do think we have a public comment on this case. I don't know if it's,
All right, let me ask you to sit down right there, sir, and I'll bring you right back up. Can you give me your name and address for the record, please?
Christine DeHaas at 29 Sable Island Drive. I feel bad that weird things have happened. This really has not been a model case for anybody. I am just here speaking on behalf of the residents who have traveled for the last 2 years back and forth. First, there was no fence, then there was a fence, and there was illegal construction for another project he's been working on. People finally got tired of that. I know that this doesn't have anything to do with the exact decision you're making today. I will just tell you, though, we have very little faith, even if he does go and get his new spec project approved, that by May, which is, I don't understand the arbitrary date of it, that it will happen. So it was my understanding that until you had an approved project, your construction fence comes down, you seed or sod, and it's actually something that is acceptable to everybody who sees it on a daily basis. You guys don't see it on a daily basis, nor do you. And we're just done. We're done. You know, it was, and you know, the cost of bringing down a fence on a multi-million-dollar project is nothing. So I don't buy that, oh, well, let's let the fence stay up. Until the permit is issued and he's well on his way for construction drawings. And it'll probably take much longer, you know, it's not a couple-week project here in Ocean Ridge. Let's be real upfront about that. So we'd like to see the fence down. We'd like to see the docks removed and that, you know, it is somewhat sodded. So it actually is not an eyesore, but you know, some of the construction stuff is still there and it needs to be cleaned up. We're done.
Okay, thank you. All right, come back up, sir. Oh, you're with him or no? Okay, great. Stay seated. I'll call you right back, sir. Thank you.
It's Michelle Heiser, Town Manager. Just wanted to take a moment to say Mr. Samuel has been a friend of the town when he opened up his comments, made that mention, and I wanted to reiterate that he has been. And so I appreciate the extra time our town attorney is looking at, and I hope that you consider her thoughts on the additional time. So
Okay.
that he can be in compliance. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, come back, sir.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So first of all, for the record, this is not a spec house. It's a personal residence we're building for us since we're not on the water. So it's not a spec house. Second of all, we did not want to put a fence up. As we agree, it was a beautiful sodded grass, maintained beautiful lot and people would walk and it was beautiful. But we were required apparently by the city, I believe, to put a fence up. We got that notice. So
Let me ask that, because that's not part of this case, correct? Is that a separate case or something?
No, what happened was he was required to put a fence up because he was doing construction of the seawall and all that. So because you're doing construction, you have to have a construction fence.
But that,
He
that's,
was
there's no
told-
mention of fencing in this notice of violation, correct?
No, because what happened was the building official knew he was in plans,
Okay.
submitting plans for this new home, so he agreed to instead of having him take it
Okay.
down and then pay
Okay.
to get it back up, he would let him keep it up.
Okay, so I just want you to understand
Yeah,
that the fence is
no, no,
not, I'm not making
totally
any
fine. I'm
decisions
just-
about the fence today. That's
totally
just part
fine.
of the paperwork that I'm looking at.
Yeah.
That's apparently a separate thing. The only
Sure.
thing that it sounds like based on the notice of violation
Yeah.
that I'm going to address today is the floating docks. That's
Cool.
exactly right. All right, let me ask you just a procedural question. Do you have any objection to the documents that are up on the screen?
No.
And then let me show you just this one more document. It's the proof that the town, yeah, you indicated that, so no objection to the
Yes.
documents being entered?
Yep.
All right. Yeah, give that back to Miss Avery. Thank you, sir. All right. All right. Anything else you'd like me to hear, sir?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Anything else from the town?
Your Honor, in terms of the time frame, I mean, the town is willing to go to 45 days to have the docks removed, which would give him a little bit of reprieve over the holidays. Or $100 a day, and then the town's administrative costs of $174.44.
All right, I appreciate that. That was, in fact, the number that I was going to land on because I do understand
Yeah.
the holidays. I understand there's some other things going on here and I've heard what I've, from folks in the room that this has been going on and there's some things going on. I get that. But it is the holiday, so I will try to give you that reasonable additional 2-week time to get them moved. I will say that you should hear today, this town doesn't have a lot of code enforcement hearings. So if you get to this point, you know that somebody around you is upset. Somebody's upset that this is taking a long time and there's been things going on. So just be sensitive to anything else that happens on the property. I would expect you will be back before me. So try to get the permits for the house as quickly as you can so that you can get out of code enforcement trouble and get your neighbors and the other residents in the town not upset with you. All right, anything else?
No, Your Honor.
All right.
I just do want to add comment. We're working on another project where we've been remodeling a house in Ocean Ridge, our current primary residence. And I heard earlier people mentioning timing in general, and I do want to state, like, it's been really challenging getting crews to show up right now due to ice. I've had like 4 instances already in the last 2 months where crews have been taken. So it's getting really challenging to get reliable, shell contractors and builders in general. So I just want the city to be, I'm sure you're aware, but it's, I heard
And
that.
there will always be challenges,
Totally.
whatever the issues are of the
Totally.
day, there have always
Always.
been issues. So the low hanging fruit, which these
Yeah,
docks are,
That's easy.
normally this is a 10-day compliance turnaround. So the town is actually being very lenient
Yeah.
in their recommendation with
Yep.
you. So the low hanging fruit, try to accommodate so that
Totally.
you keep out of the crosshairs of whoever's upset with you.
Okay.
But I do appreciate that.
Excellent.
There is always a lot in construction. But anything you can do to try to
Yep.
assuage the concerns of your neighbors is always helpful.
Okay.
All right, so in case 2025-066, I'll enter the town's evidentiary case files composite exhibit 1, which also includes the USPS delivery confirmation without objection by respondent. I'll find based on the notice documents that are in the case file, which include both an affidavit of posting as well as a USPS tracking delivery confirmation, that the town had good service for today's hearing. I'll find based on the photographs in the case file as well as the testimony of town staff and the respondent, that the respondent's in violation of section 64-77 subpart E. And I'll require, and I'm going to specify in the order just because there's a bunch going on here. I'll have the order specifically reflect that you are to comply with that section by removing the floating docks, or otherwise coming into compliance by having the permit issued, which I don't think you'll have in 45 days, so it's probably a removal, but comply with that section within 45 days or a $100 per day fine will be assessed for each day that the violation continues. So you don't come back to me, just so you know, procedurally, you don't come back to me for another hearing. If you don't have them removed by day 45, on day 46, the fine starts and they'll record a lien against your property and it'll continue to run until you're complied out. So what I would encourage you to do is, as soon as they're gone, call the town, have the code officer or the zoning official come out and do a reinspection of your property, take photographs, show you, have proof that they're removed, and you'll get an affidavit of compliance so that you don't get any fines running.
Perfect.
That way you'll close the loop on your end. Because I have found you in violation, I have to assess the town's administrative costs for today's hearing. They're in the amount of $174.44. They're payable within 30 days. So you'll get an order that reflects all this, but just so you know. And best of luck, and I would encourage you to keep in touch with the town, okay?
I do. Thank you
All
so
right,
much.
thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, anything further?
No, Your Honor.
With that, I'll adjourn this hearing at 10:52.